The girl who once bullied me has re-entered my life as my boyfriend's close friend. Recently, she was diagnosed with cancer, and my boyfriend quit his job, wanting to move into the hospital to care for her personally. I lost my temper but still couldn't stop him. Can't you be more understanding? In the face of life and death, is there really so much to dwell on? After he stormed out, I looked at the messages from that girl and knew the wedding was off. I'm going to die anyway. What else do I have to care about? In my final days, I'll do whatever makes me happy. I had the most intense argument with Lu Jiyu since we started dating. It began when his female friend Yang Won posted a photo of our wedding invitation on her social media with the caption, "I wish I could wear a wedding dress one day too. I'm so envious of her." And that invitation, I had given it to her. If you want to show off your happiness, at least pick the right time. Awen is in this state. Did you have to provoke her? Cancer patients are fighting with their mindset. You should be considerate of her feelings. He frowned, sternly criticizing me. Is it my happiness that provoked her? Or is it the fact that the groom is you? Or perhaps it would have been better if I were the one with cancer. I shot back. I found out about Yang Wan's illness last month at a school reunion. At the time, I was discussing the best man and bridesmaids for the wedding with a few close classmates. A girl tugged at my sleeve and whispered mysteriously, "Do you remember Yang Wan? Bad people get what they deserve. She has kidney cancer." I heard all her hair has fallen out. The news was so sudden, I was stunned for a moment. When I came to my senses, everyone around was already chattering about it. That girl stared at me intently without saying a word, her hand trembling slightly. When she noticed me looking at her, she murmured softly, "Even after all this time, I still hate her so much. I don't feel the slightest bit sorry for her." Like me, she was one of Yang Wan's bullying victims, though she was much luckier than I. She didn't have a boyfriend whose best friend was Yang Wan. Unable to escape, forced to endure the shadow and pretend to be magnanimous. "Bullies don't deserve forgiveness," I whispered back. Lu Jiyu learned about Yang Wan's illness on the same day as I did. After the reunion ended, he had promised to pick me up but cancelled last minute. When I called to ask, I found out he was already at the hospital. After painfully telling me about Yang Wan's condition and seeing my indifferent reaction, he grew unusually angry with me. "You're so cold-hearted. Even towards a stranger, you should show some sympathy." The next day, without consulting me, he resigned from his job. Then he started revolving around Yang Wan. Whenever I, his fiancé, voiced any objection, he would look at me with disappointment, as if to say, "How cruel you are." I really wanted to ask him, is it worth it? Does Yang Wan not have her own family? What exactly is Lu Zhou to her, to be so devoted? I deliberately sent the invitation over. I wanted them to know their place. Once again, Lu Jiyu looked deeply disappointed in me and turned to go into the bedroom. When he came out, he was carrying a suitcase. Awan doesn't have much time left. I want to spend more time with her, so I won't be staying here anymore. Seeing his righteous and solemn expression, I picked up my phone and dialed Yang Wan's number. "Fine. I'll ask her what kind of personal care she needs from you. What exactly does she want?" Before the call connected, Lu Jiu snatched the phone from my hand and ended the call, speaking earnestly as if trying to enlighten me. "Faihan, can't you be more understanding? In the face of life and death, must you be so calculating?" That sentence struck a nerve like a precise needle. I smashed many things and said many harsh words. He remained silent, slammed the door, and left me alone to crumble, trapped in my emotions, unable to pull myself together. The moment the door closed, fate seemed to deliberately mock me. I received a message from Yang Wan. "I'm going to die anyway. What else do I have to care about? In my final days, I'll do whatever makes me happy." Is having my boyfriend what makes her happy? After more than 20 calls, he finally answered. But Lu Jiyu didn't give me a chance to speak. "Don't call me unless it's important. You'll disturb Awan's rest." Brief and to the point, then he hung up. I remained frozen in the act of calling, staring blankly at the large wedding portrait displayed in the living room. The wedding is in just a month, how could he have forgotten? I cried intermittently all night, and had just fallen into a fitful sleep. Around 8 in the morning, when the sound of the door opening startled me awake, Lu Jiyu walked in, looking utterly exhausted. Always meticulous about his appearance, his shirt was now crumpled and stained with specks of blood. Seeing me, he sighed sorrowfully, sat down beside me, and reached out to ruffle my hair. Don't overthink it. Nothing will happen between her and me. I spoke too harshly yesterday. That phrase sounded so familiar. Every time our dates were abruptly turned into a trio by Yang Wan's sudden inclusion, he would use similar words to placate me. Don't overthink it. We're just good friends. Don't overthink it. She's just used to being careless. She doesn't mean to intrude. Don't overthink it. You're exhausting me. The flat was still in disarray. All traces of last night's argument remained. I couldn't bring myself to tidy up. At that moment, I had no energy left to argue with him, nor did I want to ask why he had returned. Let's cancel the wedding, Lu Jiyu. Actually, when I called him last night, that was what I intended to say. I can't bear feeling like the primary wife who must constantly tolerate the antics of a concubine. Lu Jiyu and I have been together for over 2 years. Before Yang Wan reappeared, I once thought I'd struck gold. He's handsome, successful, socially adept. All my relatives and friends speak highly of him. Thoroughly charmed. No matter what occasion he accompanies me to, he always handles it with ease, making me proud. He was the ideal partner I envisioned to grow alongside me. Until Yang Wan showed up. Always one to maintain appropriate boundaries, he enthusiastically slung an arm around her shoulders and introduced her to me. This is my childhood friend. She just returned to the country a couple of days ago and will be settling in this city. I felt as if I'd fallen into an icy abyss, unable to believe the world could be so small that I would encounter her again after all these years. Yang Wan was clever, summarizing our past in a few words, apologizing to me proactively, saying we should let bygones be bygones. Trapped by so-called propriety and upbringing, I had no choice but to agree. But in truth, I could never truly forgive her. The public slaps, pouring soy milk over my head, making lewd jokes in front of boys, all of it. I could only desperately use rationality to tell myself, let it go. From then on, Lu Jiyu and I began arguing frequently. No matter how I described Yang Wan's malicious behavior during secondary school, he couldn't empathize. Merely offering a bland, we were young then, immature. She's not bad at heart. I know her. Sometimes he would even gently chide me in return. Don't bring up the past every time you're jealous. Look at her, she's never said a bad word about you. Be good. After several times, I stopped bringing it up. Instead, I focused more on my own life, no longer mentioning Yang Wan easily. If she was included in plans, I wouldn't be. Or if she showed up, I would leave. Lu Jiyu noticed my firm stance and finally agreed to reduce contact with Yang Wan. Every day, I tidied the flat until it was spotless, changed the flowers on the balcony for fresh ones, and made sure Lu Jiyu had a hot meal waiting when he returned home. Life, with my efforts to gloss over things, was barely manageable. I didn't actually have that many expectations. But when Yang Wan fell ill and threw my life into chaos once more, I was truly exhausted, with no strength left to keep up the facade. Seemingly too shocked, Lu Jiyu stared at me for a long time, his mouth slightly agape but no words coming out. I couldn't be bothered to wait any longer. I got up from the sofa, walked into the bedroom, locked the door behind me, and burrowed under the covers to sleep. When I woke again, it was completely dark outside. The flat was silent, while outside the window, countless warm, soft lights from other homes shone, inviting and enviable. My phone showed many unread messages surprisingly. None were from Lu Jiyu. They were all from Yang Wan. Jian Faiham, I only have 3 months left. You don't have to be like this. After I die, I'll return him to you. Hate me if you must, but don't blame Ao. Cancelling the wedding would damage both your reputations. I don't want to cause him trouble even in death. I'm begging you. Be generous just this once. I'm sorry. I didn't want to get sick either. There were many more. I turned off my phone, not wanting to read further. At a time like this, neither morally nor emotionally do I hold the advantage. Ultimately, it all comes down to me bullying someone who is dying. Unconsciously, I sat lost in thought for a long time until the ringing phone pulled me back to reality. Seeing Mum on the screen, tears instantly flooded my eyes. It took me a moment to gather myself and answer, but as soon as I uttered Mum, I choked up, unable to speak. Unaware on the other end, she excitedly asked me, "Has the wedding dress arrived? That boy G really spoils you. Going all the way to have one custom made. I'd say renting is the most cost-effective, you only wear it once in your life anyway." Tears fell drop by drop onto the duvet, soaking dark patches. When she finally paused for breath, I cautiously tested the waters. "Mum, actually, I'm not too keen on getting married so soon." She immediately grew wary. "Did you have a fight with Jiyu? Jiaohan, you really should work on your temper. You can't be so stubborn, always expecting Jiyu to give in. Life has its bumps, that's normal. Everyone around me has such a favorable impression of Lu Jiyu, coupled with my usual efforts to defend him. So they've grown accustomed to thinking I'm the one making trouble. But I really haven't been making trouble. Every time there's a conflict, I try to consider his perspective first, then talk myself down. And I've kept all these matters well hidden. For his sake, I've put immense effort into managing social niceties. I understand. I was just saying. You shouldn't even say things like that, it's hurtful." My mother's tone turned serious. "You need to be more understanding. So many people tell me to be more understanding. Am I really that difficult? When I was bullied at school because I was understanding, I didn't dare tell my family, afraid of burdening my ordinary parents. When I dated a boyfriend I liked but who was rather flighty, because I was understanding, I initiated the breakup and started seeing someone my parents preferred. Now, with my life in shambles, I'm still being told to be understanding. What must I do to make everyone satisfied?" After hanging up, I lay back down, staring blankly at the ceiling in the dark. Since Lu Ju left, I've been living quietly, not mentioning anything to anyone. He hasn't contacted me, and I haven't reached out to him either. A friend I hadn't spoken to in a long time sent me a screenshot of Lu Jiu's social media post and asked, "He's gone to Dali, so romantic. It should have been me taking you there." I quickly exited the chat and went to check Lu Jiu's profile. It was blank. Then I checked Yang Wan's, also blank. The only thing visible was that both had the same bio. "Love life. Love you." They were quite considerate of my feelings, going on a trip together without telling me, and even blocking me from seeing it. Holding my phone, I smiled bitterly to myself. Before long, my phone lit up again. It was the same friend. "Wait, Jian Faihan. Your WeChat step count is less than 200 today." I didn't reply, pretending not to know anything. Silently suppressing the increasingly turbulent emotions inside, I put down my phone and continued working. Not wanting to face the little nest I'd painstakingly built like a swallow gathering twigs alone, I voluntarily worked late every night. Tonight was no different. At 1:30 in the morning, dragging my exhausted body out of the office building, I lit a cigarette and suddenly heard someone call my name. The voice was familiar yet distant. Turning to look, under the dim streetlight stood a tall, slender figure, also holding a cigarette. He must have been waiting a long time. His hair was tousled by the night breeze, dressed in black from head to toe. His lazy smile carried a hint of irreverence in the oppressive night. He took a drag of his cigarette, exhaled a cloud of smoke, and slowly walked toward me, once again enunciating each syllable of my name, Jian Faihan. His tone lifted at the end, affectionate yet tinged with playful mischief. The moon hid behind low-hanging clouds, too stingy to shed even a sliver of light. A few cold stars twinkled in the distance. I suddenly laughed, no reason. I just really felt like laughing. As tears welled up, I wiped them away. "Zhou Yanli, it's been a long time." He looked at me with a teasing smile, took another sip of his cigarette, and let the ashy smoke drift from his lips, swirling between us before slowly dissipating. "Love life. Love you." He drawled with a slight raise of his brow. "That bastard's quite the romantic, isn't he? Better than you, I suppose. I recall someone once said if he ever came looking for me again, he'd be a dog. Right?" I sniffled and turned to leave, but a lean, pale hand grabbed my arm. "Woof, woof. Zhou Yanli was my first love. We weren't together long, just 1 year. 3 months and 18 days. He was the complete opposite of Lu Jie, playful, adventurous, rebellious, defiant, as if there was nothing in the world he feared. Always unrestrained, always full of energy. Being with him was joyful but exhausting, constantly arguing about what constituted reality and responsibility. What frustrated me most was that facing his carefree, untamed nature made me feel that my own cautious, calculating ways were detestable and worldly. "Joe Yanley, what exactly do you want?" I shook off his hand, anger rising. But he suddenly opened his arms and pulled me into a hug. The familiar scent of tobacco filled my nostrils, warmth radiating from his body. Instantly my resistance melted, and I couldn't move, only feeling a deep weariness seize my limbs, urging me to hide in this small sanctuary. A soft sigh came from above my head as he tightened his embrace. I made a bet with myself. If you really got married, I'd stay far away. But if that bastard gave me a chance, I'd snatch you back immediately. Gian Fihan, I've really grown up. I can shelter you from the storm now. I've missed you so much. What is human greed? At this moment, it's wanting to hold on a little longer after already holding, wanting to hide a little longer after already hiding. But of course, humans also have reason. I pushed him away, took a step back, smoothed my disheveled hair, and looked up with a smile. Stop messing around. You should head back. He wasn't surprised at all. Taking a cigarette from his pocket, he placed it lightly between his lips, then slipped one into mine and lit it with his lighter. Back then, I was young and thin-skinned. I didn't know how to persist. When you told me to leave, I left. But now it's different. I've learned how to leave in all sorts of ways, back and forth, round and round. After finishing the cigarette, Joe Yanley shamelessly insisted on walking me home. His tactics were just like before: first a fierce threat, then pouting and tugging my sleeve, meaning, "Don't ignore me, give me some face." And then, when all else failed, he'd drop all pretense and beg like a spoiled child. It was all so familiar I could almost predict his every move. I felt an indescribable sense of relief and warmth. He hadn't changed, and I hadn't forgotten. Old habits still lived stubbornly within us. "Let's go, driver. I'm tired and want to go home to sleep." "Right away. Actually, I have another side gig. I'm also available for sleep-related services. Interested?" Joe Yanley walked to the roadside, agilely swung his leg over his motorcycle, leaned back, planted his long legs firmly on the ground. Dressed all in black against the black bike, he formed a sharp, hard-lined silhouette. Holding his helmet with one hand, he tilted his head and flashed me a roguish grin. I'd ridden on the back of his bike many times before, but this time I felt inexplicably nervous. Taking a secret deep breath, I placed my hands on his shoulders and swung my leg over. He turned his head, fastened the helmet for me, and whistled. "Hold on tight. You know I'm fast." I know. Fast?" My face burned, my heartbeat secretly quickening. I could only use such childish banter to hide my nerves. Annoyed, he tapped my helmet lightly, then leaned forward, twisted the throttle, and the bike shot forward like the wind. The momentum pressed me against his back, intimate and close. But soon, I pulled away again. Even though I was terrified, I stubbornly refused to wrap my arms around his waist. Dissatisfied, he sped up even more. The night wind roared past, the engine rumbled loudly, and the receding lights and shadows gave an unreal sensation of traveling through time. What I'd once considered dangerous and wanted to change about him now felt thrilling. When we arrived, I even felt a bit reluctant to get off. Returning the helmet to Joe Yanley, I said goodbye. "Take it slow on the way back. Be safe." Straddling the motorcycle, his deep eyes twinkled with starlight. "Scouting mission successful. I'll pick you up tomorrow. What time do you start work?" "Joe Yanley, get a proper job." With that, I walked into the neighborhood without looking back. I'm a rich second-generation heir, show some respect. Why are you worrying about me? If I don't marry you and take you home as my wife, I'll be letting down my ancestors. My steps faltered. He'd said those exact words to me before. I never expected that, because I didn't tell Joe Yanley what time I started work. He'd wait outside my building all night. Under the bright morning sun, he leaned lazily against his motorcycle, eyelids lowered, an unlit cigarette dangling from his lips. His disheveled fringe fell across his brow, occasionally tousled by the breeze, casting shifting shadows on his fair skin. Many cigarette butts were scattered near his boots. I stood frozen, momentarily lost. As if sensing something, He slowly lifted his gaze. The moment he saw me, a careless smile spread across his lips. "Good morning, little one." Having stayed up all night and smoked heavily, his voice sounded hoarse, low, and lazy, as if he hadn't just waited through the entire night, but simply happened to be passing by. "You only slept a few hours. What kind of rubbish job makes you work late and start early?" As I approached, he gruffly shoved the helmet onto my head and swung his leg over the bike. My protests got stuck in my throat before I could even say them. "Aren't you basically driving fatigued, mate?" Joe Yanley's patience exceeded my expectations. For 4 consecutive days, he picked me up for work and dropped me off afterward. Each time we parted downstairs, he never explicitly stated his intentions. He'd just lift the hem of his shirt to wipe non-existent sweat off his face, showing off his abs, then fix me with a hungry, wolf-like gaze, waiting for my reaction. As if at the slightest hint of me softening, he'd pounce and devour me whole. Quite childish, but he seemed to enjoy it immensely. On Friday evening, I deliberately didn't work late, but to my surprise, I still found him waiting downstairs. Hands in his pockets, he walked to love me step by step, his smile warmed by the setting sun. "Jian Faihan, you're scared after just 4 days. I was planning to pester you for a lifetime." Caught off guard, I felt a flicker of embarrassment but stubbornly retorted, "It's normal for me to finish work on time. What's it to you? Are you that free? It's not like I can't afford a ride. Who asked you to bother me every day?" Instead of arguing, he nudged my shoulder, tilting his head and looking at me eagerly. "Since you're free today, let me treat you to dinner. Or you can treat me. I'm not picky." "Sorry, I still have a lot of wedding-related matters to deal with. Find someone else to treat you. Or treat someone else. Just don't let yourself get too lonely." That afternoon, my mum had urged me again to bring Lu Jiu home to discuss wedding details and go shopping. Lu Jiu's parents had also called, asking when we planned to register at the Civil Affairs Bureau. I wasn't in a great mood. Unable to vent my temper on others, I channeled all my sarcasm onto Joe Yanley. He stared at me for a moment, then nodded, still smiling, but the light in his eyes had turned fierce. "If you can't find the groom, call me to stand in. I'm available anytime, ready to be used whenever. Please don't be polite with me." I thought I could provoke him into flying into a rage and storming off, but instead, he went along with it. I was momentarily stunned. "You're not any good. Get lost." Right away. This time, he really left without looking back. Watching the direction his motorcycle disappeared, I took out my phone and dialed. Some things, if dragged out too long, would show a lack of sincerity. The person on the other end answered quickly, as if they'd been waiting by the phone for my call. Their tone sounded excited, even deliberately gentle. "Faihan, I'm sorry. I've been so busy lately, I haven't contacted you. I'll come home tonight." So he was back from Delhi. I smiled and got straight to the point. "Even if we've broken up, we should part amicably. I'll handle my mum's side. You deal with your parents. As for financial matters, let's find a time to discuss them face to face. The most important thing now is to manage our friends and relatives. We can't keep hiding this from them. Otherwise, we'd seem terribly immature." He fell silent for a long time before cautiously asking, "When did we break up?" "I said to cancel the wedding, and you didn't respond. Doesn't that mean you agreed?" "Faihan, no, that's not it. I just wanted to give you space to cool off." I cut him off. "I am calm. Thank you." Without waiting for his reply, I hung up and turned on airplane mode. Truthfully, knowing Lu Jiu as I did, he wouldn't cross the line or betray his morals by doing anything to hurt me. But I simply didn't want to gamble. It felt meaningless. Each compromise was my way of treasuring our relationship, yet also a gradual farewell born of accumulated disappointment. I bought some snacks and beer and went to the riverside to clear my head. Just as I pulled the tab on a can, someone sat down beside me. Without ceremony, he took the beer from my hand, tilted his head back and took a big swig, sighing contentedly. "The outdoors is nice too. Anywhere is good as long as I'm with you." "Joe Yanley, why is it always you?" He raised an eyebrow, looking slightly aggrieved. This is what I call rolling back and forth. I couldn't help but laugh. "Well rolled, let's drink." After that, neither of us spoke, each lost in our thoughts, occasionally clinking cans. The evening breeze carried for miles, the sunset sinking into the river, the moon slowly climbing above the clouds. The drinks ran out. We weren't drunk, but felt pleasantly lightheaded. Staring at the swaying figure of Zhou Yanli before me, I giggled uncontrollably. I'm not sad at all. I just feel like all of you have betrayed my sincere wish to keep moving forward, to live a good life together. Living a good life is so hard. None of you understand that, so none of you cherish it. At some point, he had moved closer, his nose almost touching my face. Just as I was about to pull away, he pinched my chin and closed the distance. The kiss, tinged with the scent of alcohol, was fierce and relentless. While stealing my breath, it also stripped away my reason. I couldn't tell if I wanted to vent or simply surrender. When it finally ended, through my blurred vision I saw Lu Jiyu. He stood not far away, his expression dark, fists clenched tightly, grinding out each word through gritted teeth. Jian Faihan, I misjudged you. I lowered my head, silently mulling over his words. Over the years together, I believed I'd done my utmost, never causing him trouble, never pressuring him, carefully considering every matter, striving not to leave any openings for others to criticize. Did he have any idea how exhausting it was to live like that? Did he know how difficult it was for me to maintain that facade of peace and calm? Now that I couldn't hold on any longer, couldn't keep wearing the mask and pretending everything was fine, he had the nerve to turn around and blame me. What gave him the right? Zhou Yanli suddenly leaned close again. His eyelids lowered as he pinched my chin and lifted it slightly. Be good. Close your eyes. His voice was hoarse and tender, bewitching and seductive. Keep going. I was momentarily stunned, nearly succumbing. Pushing him away, I staggered to my feet, took out my phone, opened a certain page, and thrust the screen in front of Lu Jiyu. Lu Jiyu, what were you thinking when you took those wedding photos with her? Were you thinking that as long as you didn't tell me, I'd never find out? Or that even if I did, you could smooth things over with some moral pressure and a few apologies? Were you thinking that since I'm so good at settling things quietly, I wouldn't mind after she died? Then you really misjudged me. I won't last until she dies. Fueled by alcohol, my emotions erupted. Each word was forceful as I stared directly at him, leaving him no room to hide. He had never seen me like this before. I had always been restrained, understanding, never easily making others uncomfortable. Panic flickered in his eyes before his expression gradually turned sorrowful. It was her last wish. I was just showing her compassion. That was an explanation, not an apology. It seemed he didn't think he'd done anything wrong. Actually, when he kissed me just now, I forced a mocking smile, glancing back at Zhou Yanli. It was also out of compassion. Zhou Yanli quickly stepped to my side and pulled me into his arms. Poor little thing. I'll always take care of you. Lu Jiyu's expression instantly darkened. He rushed over angrily, trying to pull me away, but Zhou Yanli shoved him back hard, then stepped forward and grabbed his collar. Don't make a scene. She scares easily, you'll frighten her. The light, almost playful words were laced with danger. I closed my eyes, once again suppressing the surging emotions inside, and forwarded the link on my phone to Lu Jiyu. The link led to Yang Wan's secret social media account, where she had recorded many of her hidden thoughts, including the wedding-style photo shoot she and Lu Jiyu had done in Dali a few days ago. There were many photos and even videos. Various melodramatic posts made it seem as if she were about to walk down the aisle with him. The person who shared all this with me was the girl I'd met at the last class reunion. Unable to move past the bullying trauma, she had been secretly following Yang Wan online all these years. Late one night 2 days ago, she sent me the link without another word. By the time I finished reading everything, it was already morning. I washed my face and went straight to work. Only in the afternoon did I reply with a simple thank you. I didn't cry or make a scene. All my senses felt numb. There were even moments when I doubted whether I had ever loved Lu Jiyu at all otherwise. Why was I so calm? Apart from being unable to sleep or eat, I seemed to have no other reaction. I tried to force myself to cry, but couldn't squeeze out a single tear. Being with you, the thing I've done most is understand you. This time is no different. Accompany her well. Don't let her have regrets. Let her die in peace. As I spoke, I tugged at Zhou Yanli's sleeve. Let's go. His time is precious. Liu Jiyu tried to follow, but Zhou Yanli grabbed my hand, and we started running. The night wind whipped against my face as we left countless blurry faces behind. I suddenly burst out laughing. Liu Jiyu wouldn't chase after us. He wouldn't embarrass himself in public like that. Such childish behavior was something only Zhou Yanli would do so freely. Over the years, I had grown increasingly shrewd, while he had remained that same sincere, passionate youth. It really made me feel ashamed. After running for what felt like ages, I ran out of strength, stopped, and bent over gasping for breath, but I was still laughing. My chest ached dully, tears streaming down my face. Jian Faihan, where's that temper of yours? Zhou Yanli was tall. Standing before me, his shadow completely enveloped me. I looked up at him, then lowered my head again, pretending not to hear. After a while, when my breathing had steadied, I shook my head at him. I'm going home. Do you have a home? He grabbed my arm, blocking my way. Stung, I instantly erupted in anger. It seemed around him, my emotions were always hard to control. Zhou Yanli, you're so annoying. Can't you stop bothering me? Can't you see I want to be alone? Whether I have a home or not is none of your business. Can you give me a home? Can you really protect me? When your father humiliated me back then, besides arguing and smashing things, did you actually do anything substantial? Zhou Yanli came from a wealthy family and was the only son, carrying the expectations of his entire family. Back then, when his father found out, he was dating a girl from a poor background with a father who was a convicted criminal. He flew into a rage and came to see me directly. Every word of ridicule was rooted in reality, crushing me so thoroughly I couldn't even muster a rebuttal. Apart from rebelling with sheer defiance, Zhou Yanli had no other way to prove that we were suitable, that we could have a future. I truly liked him and I didn't want to give up. But when he got into a fight for his friend and was detained at the police station, I had no choice but to beg his father, trampling my own dignity underfoot. Later, after he was released, I blamed him for being impulsive, for not considering the consequences. But really, did I truly dislike his youthful spirit? Did I dislike his loyalty to his friends? No. I just disliked my own helplessness, my own timidity. I disliked that I couldn't help him at all. Get lost, Zhou Yanli. Don't come near me. I really hate you, I shouted. So much time had passed, yet history was repeating itself. Back when we broke up, I had been the same calmly saying hurtful things, extinguishing that flickering candle of hope bit by bit until everything went dark. Only that time, Zhou Yanli had left with reddened eyes, furious. This time, he didn't. As if he'd built up immunity, he could even muster a tolerant smile. All right, come here. Let me hold you. Don't be sad. This version of Zhou Yanli was too disarming. I turned and fled as if running for my life. If you don't want me to die, don't follow me. Fortunately, he didn't follow, leaving me to struggle alone in the chaos. After wandering aimlessly through the city for a long time, I randomly checked into a hotel, ordered a lot of takeout, and continued drinking by the floor-to-ceiling window alone. My phone kept ringing intermittently, all from Liu Jiu, until it eventually died. I hid like that for 2 days. On Sunday evening, I finally charged my phone. As soon as it turned on, dozens of messages flooded in. The most eye-catching was a transfer notification from Liu Jiu for 3 million yuan. Note: apology. After reading all the unread messages, I understood. In everyone's eyes, that amount was enough to buy the rest of my life, because my mother, on my behalf, had forgiven Liu Jiu. And Liu Jiu himself believed it was sufficient to show his sincerity. My mother said, "Jiu has explained everything to me. It's enough to make a point know your limits." Liu Jiu said, "This is all my savings. From now on, I'll listen to you. I'm sorry, I didn't consider your feelings." I turned my phone off and on again, finally typing out a line after several edits and sending it to my mother. "If there's a rat dropping in the porridge, you can't expect me to force myself to eat it just to avoid wasting food, especially not for a lifetime. You and I are not the same." After work on Monday, Liu Jiu unexpectedly came to pick me up, a rare occurrence. Usually, he was very busy with work and earned several times my salary. I never asked him to pick me up, afraid of disturbing his important matters and wasting his time. Now, holding a bouquet of red roses as large as a wash basin, He stood conspicuously at the entrance of my office building. Across the bustling flow of people, he watched me with a smile, waiting for me to come to him. But I felt somewhat embarrassed and couldn't bring myself to move. After waiting a while, he walked toward me with the flowers. "Fihan, I'm sorry. I sincerely apologize." I smiled and took the flowers then. The moment he relaxed, hurled the roses at him with force. Bright petals scattered across the ground, the bouquet landing clumsily at his feet. "Then let me tell you once again. Seriously, we've broken up. Don't embarrass me in public, especially near my workplace. Also, regarding those 3 million, I plan to transfer them back to you in front of your parents. Let them see just how immature you are." With that, I stepped past him and continued walking, knowing it would hurt me yet deliberately doing it anyway, then apologizing afterward. How was that any different from humiliation? He followed me, pressing, "We're already at the point of marriage. Isn't cancelling the wedding now just as immature?" I stopped, turned around and smiled a half smile. What I'm doing is called a warrior cutting off his arm to survive, cutting losses in time. What you're doing is called shameless and without integrity. With nowhere to go again that evening, I wandered the streets alone. Passing through an intersection, cars sped past me one after another, merging into a stream of golden light, while my direction was blocked by a red light. At that moment, I felt an unprecedented helplessness. Loneliness abruptly overpowered my bravado. How could someone be such a failure? A partner who isn't loyal, friends who aren't sincere, family who doesn't truly care. There was truly no one around. If I died, they'd probably struggle to even fill a banquet table, let alone hope for someone to look back on my life at my funeral. What are you overthinking in that head of yours? If you're wronged, go demand justice. A voice suddenly sounded beside me, startling me. Recognizing Joe Yanley, I retorted irritably, "Are you a stalker? Why are you everywhere?" He shrugged, glancing behind him. "Picking you up after work is part of my routine. That guy over there is the stalker." I followed his gaze. It was Liu Jiu. Me. Do men only start chasing after what they've lost? How pathetic. Alright, stop cursing in your head. I'll take you for some good food. Look at you, pitiful. The light turned green. Joe Yanley grabbed my right hand from my pocket and held it, leading me across the crosswalk with the crowd. On the other side of the street, Liu Jiu was still following me. I couldn't be bothered with him. I never imagined Liu Jiu would bring my mother to the restaurant to corner me. Not long after we ordered, just as I was about to look back to see if Liu Jiu was still there, I saw him and my mother walking toward me from the entrance, one after the other. My mother's face was unusually flushed with anger, while Liu Jiu showed no discernible emotion. Catching my gaze, my mother quickened her pace. The next second, a crisp, sharp slap landed. "Have you no shame?" she shouted at me. My cheek stung fiercely. Humiliated and furious, I stared at her, momentarily speechless from anger. "Who are you?" Joe Yanley pushed his chair back and stepped in front of me, blocking my mother. "How dare you hit her?" "Who am I?" My mother raised her hand again, aiming for Joe Yanley, but he caught her wrist. "I'm her mother." "That's how," she spat, struggling against his grip. People around us were staring. Those gazes felt like needles piercing my dignity. I stood up, forcefully pried Joe Yanley's fingers open to separate him from my mother, and said coldly, "How does having dinner with my boyfriend amount to having no shame?" Joe Yanley glanced at me, his expression unchanged, his chin lifting almost imperceptibly. Liu Jiu spoke with the tone of an elder addressing an unruly junior, full of sorrowful disappointment. "Fihan, don't be stubborn. Some words, once spoken, create a rift for a lifetime." I feigned surprise. "Oh, you understand that principle too? What's with the sarcasm? Do you really think this irresponsible man beside you would marry you? He looks as unreliable as your father. Perfectly good trousers to wear, yet he insists on wearing ripped ones." I'd always known Joe Yanley wasn't the type my mother liked, but I never expected hearing her belittle him would anger me so much. "Enough. You two are a perfect match. Why don't you marry him instead? That way, the bride price won't need returning, and the wedding won't be cancelled. I wish you a harmonious union and many children." I stiffened my neck, interrupting her recklessly. The words were too sharp, They both froze. 2 seconds later, my mother raised her hand again. If Zhou Yanli hadn't reacted quickly and stopped her, I would have been slapped again. I slowly exhaled, calming the turbulent rage inside, grabbed Zhou Yanli's arm and walked out. Jian Feihan, since when have you become so unreasonable? Do you have to make a scene until everyone knows and loses face? Lu Jiyu caught up with me, his eyes filled with reproach. Aren't you all just taking advantage of my understanding and reasonableness? Sorry, but I really can't swallow this piece of shit. I was beyond caring, speaking without restraint. Lu Jiyu stood frozen. He had never seen me so willful and stubborn. Regretting it now, EH? The woman I fancy is exceptional. Too bad you didn't cherish her. Zhou Yanli patted his shoulder and sauntered off, shaking his head. I thought you only lost your temper with me. I didn't know you'd lose it for me too. After leaving the restaurant, Zhou Yanli walked beside me. Streetlights stretched endlessly ahead, the road seeming to have no end. I stopped and looked at him, my gaze moving from his bright eyes down past his firm jawline and neck, finally resting on his chest. The heart inside had always beat fervently and warmly, its affection openly displayed. And me? Terrified by every breeze, alarmed by every rustle, hiding under the mask of being understanding, merely surviving, getting by. I remembered when we first broke up, overwhelmed by pent-up emotions. I vented to an online stranger. After listening, the stranger mocked me for being cowardly. Like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, I fired back with a lengthy retort. This isn't cowardice. What do you want me to do? Charge recklessly into a brick wall? End up tearing everything apart, causing a huge mess, making everyone uncomfortable, disturbing others' lives, wasting their time, exhausting my own energy. Accepting everything is bravery. What I'm doing is called being understanding. When it came to Lu Jiyu and Yang Wan, I used the same logic to convince myself. I was afraid of confrontation. I was afraid of seeing the disappointed look on my mother Hali's face, the mother who had raised me alone, and hearing her lament her hardships again. I was afraid Lu Jiyu would cause me trouble. I was afraid Yang Wan would stir up more drama, shattering my peace. This world had too many things that scared me. I was afraid of marrying a man like my father. I was afraid of becoming a woman like my mother. I was afraid my child would end up living my life. Lost in thought, I didn't notice when Zhou Yanli rested his head on my shoulder. A man over 6 feet tall adopting such a delicate posture was rather incongruous. I shifted away. Losing support, he lifted his head. His cheek bore a red mark from the pressure, paired with a pitiful look, lending him an air of sincere childishness. I'm exercising my rights as a boyfriend. Zhou Yanli, don't play dumb. That was said in anger. It doesn't count. Before I could finish, he pulled me into his arms. Words must be trusted. Actions must bear fruit. That's the rule you set for me. No double standards. Hearing my own words, remembered by him and brought up years later, evoked a subtle feeling. Faint warmth seeped from my chest, inexplicably reaching my eyes. I quieted down, pressing against his chest, listening closely to the rhythm of his heartbeat. I've handled so much. That's pretty impressive, right? I asked after a while. He stroked my hair. Of course. Who are you? You're the woman I'm going to love for a lifetime. The most precious thing about Zhou Yanli was that he understood my pride. He never offered help or pity outright but consistently affirmed and appreciated me. I tightened my arms around his waist, my voice muffled. I really don't see where you've matured. A lifetime this. A lifetime that. Striking while the iron was hot, I printed the wedding photos of Yang Wan and Lu Jiyu, and went straight to his parents' house. Outside the door, I took 3 deep breaths, straightened my back and pushed it open. His parents knew nothing about recent events. Seeing me, they were both surprised and delighted, their attitude warm and welcoming. Watching them bustling about, the sharp words I prepared suddenly caught in my throat. I sat stiffly on the sofa for a while, before finally forcing out a sentence. Uncle, Auntie, I came today because there's something I need to tell you. Lu Jiu's mother stopped moving and looked at me worriedly. Zhao Han, what's wrong? Did you and Jiu have a fight? I lowered my head, hesitated, then took out the photos and the bank card. This card has 3,310,000 in it. 3 million was transferred by Lu Jiu, I'm not sure why. Perhaps as compensation. The bride price was 200,000, the gold and gifts 80,000, and the remaining 30,000 is to cover the gifts you usually give me and my mother. The clearer the accounting, the cleaner the break, and the more respect it would earn. I forced a proper smile and stood up to leave. Thank you for always taking care of me. It's a shame we weren't destined to become family. Liu Jiu's father put down the meticulously peeled pomelo flesh and scratched his head in confusion. What on earth happened, child? Liu Jiu's mother rushed over to grab my hand. How did things get like this after not seeing you for a while? If Jiu did something wrong, I'll apologize on his behalf. I'll scold him, I'll hit him, all right? My heart softened. Many times they had truly been good to me. Seeing my reddened eyes and silence, Liu Jiu's mother hurried to the coffee table and flipped through the photos. After looking at a few, she wiped her tears and turned to me. I will look into this thoroughly. No matter what, we will personally come to apologize. I sniffled, holding back tears as I said goodbye to her. Just as I opened the door to leave, I nearly collided with Liu Jiu. The gentle mask he always wore instantly cracked. He ground out a question through clenched teeth. What did you tell them? I lifted my chin, meeting his gaze without flinching. Just a few truths. Don't be nervous. Downstairs, Zhou Yanli was waiting for me. His chin slightly raised, he stood under the streetlight, stars seeming to hide in his eyes. As I approached, he tilted his neck with a roguish grin. We absolutely have to celebrate. My bed misses you. Unconsciously, I pinched my own arm until the pain snapped me out of his mesmerizing gaze. Zhou Yanli, I still like you. The moment the words left my mouth, he took a step forward, lowered his head, brushed his nose against mine, and curled his thin lips into a smug, teasing smile. I know. But liking someone, being compatible, and being able to stay together in my mind, those have always been three separate things. The years I could afford to waste, I already gave to you. Maybe back then, I wasn't as mature as I am now, picky, naggy, making a fuss over nothing. But many things I only ever gave to you. Even now, I haven't given them to anyone else. Please don't come looking for me again. My life requires restraint. That's hard enough, so don't make it harder. Thank you. I looked at him, keeping my voice as low as possible to hide the emotional tremor. The light in his eyes dimmed inch by inch, but he stubbornly held his position. Why? My father is a convicted criminal. Your family would never allow such a stain. Besides, you're too impulsive. My mother wouldn't like you either. I don't want to be torn between two families, making myself look cheap. If we keep talking, I'll start hating myself again. Can you let me go? His fingertip touched my lips. The cold sensation made my heart shudder violently. We were so close I could see the flutter of his eyelashes and the moisture gathering in his eyes. But I couldn't soften. I had to cut this cleanly. Restore peace to my life as soon as possible. Lingering in these matters terrified me. Rolling back and forth, rolling in all sorts of ways, really doesn't attract you. I also. He paused, released me, and turned away swiftly. You saying all that just means you don't love me enough. If your inner longing were truly strong, how could you be scared off by outside obstacles? See, that's where we're incompatible, I said with a smile. He sneered and sprinted away. Just as I was about to sigh in relief, he ran back. I've changed so much, can't you see? You think I enjoy being shameless. Only you have pride, do I not have any? No one forced you, right? I retorted. He clenched his fists. Fine, fine. I won't change anymore. Tell me which floor that bastard lives on. I'll finish him. I laughed in exasperation. Wow, so impressive. Then kill me first. He glared at me viciously, silent. But the next second, a voice from behind made my head throb. Why is it always you? The moment Liu Jiu approached, Zhou Yanli swung a fist at him. The sound of knuckles hitting bone made my scalp tingle. I shouted for them to stop, but neither listened, tussling on the ground. Liu Jiu had no experience fighting. Zhou Yanli was a veteran. The outcome was already decided. I crouched down, wrapping my arms tightly around Zhou Yanli's arm, furious. Enough! Stop it! Do you want to force me to kneel again? Sure enough, that hit his weak spot. He froze. Back then, after he got into a fight, and was taken to the police station. I'd knelt once to beg the other party to settle, and once to beg his father to bail him out. Those 2 kneelings were thorns in both our hearts, untouchable, unthinkable. Lu Jiu got up from the ground. Zhou Yanli remained sitting there, dazed. I steadied Lu Jiu's unsteady frame, asking anxiously, "Are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital?" He rubbed his split lip. "I'm calling the police." I stayed silent for 2 seconds, lowered my head, and said nothing. Zhou Yanli snorted coldly and stood up, looking down at Lu Jiu with disdain. "Go ahead. I've got money for your funeral expenses. Don't worry." I slapped Zhou Yanli. Only after doing it did I realize what I'd done. After a moment of shock, I yelled, "Zhou Yanli, can you fucking grow up or not? Get lost." He gave me a deep look, then turned and left. I let out a breath of relief, only to be pulled into Lu Jiu's embrace. "You still care about me?" Such confidence, I hadn't expected that. After a moment, he released me, looking at me with deep affection. "Let's go home." How could he say something like that so casually? Did he think the problems between us were trivial? I took a step back. "I'm sorry about what happened today. If you want to call the police, go ahead. But if you consider that I've been a decent girlfriend, maybe you could let it go. Don't make a big deal out of it. You were a very good girlfriend. I won't pursue it. I've always liked your character even now. You haven't said a single bad word about me to anyone. Thank you." Once I got the answer I wanted, I didn't care to hear the rest. I smiled and interrupted him. "Good night. I'm leaving." "Then let me take you." "Where are you staying?" "Your mum's place." I ignored him and walked straight out. He followed silently. After I got into a taxi, he waved at me with a smile. "Good night, Xiaohan." Previously, it was Zhou Yanli waiting downstairs at my office every day. Now, it was Lu Jiu bringing warmth, treating colleagues to milk tea, sending extravagant flowers, waiting for me after work. The whole office was envious. I thought to myself, people really are easily fooled by appearances. Even trash can be packaged as treasure. Not wanting to become office gossip, I endured it all. Finally, the weekend arrived. I got up early, washed up, and planned to spend the whole day seriously house hunting to speed things up. But then I received a series of urgent calls from my mother. She told me Lu Jiu's parents had come to apologize and demanded I return home within half an hour. Out of courtesy, I agreed. After all, they were elders who had always treated me well. When I got home, the atmosphere was slightly awkward. Lu Jiu sat alone on a small sofa, expression heavy. His father sighed repeatedly. His mother's eyes were red. Strangely, my mother seemed somewhat proud and smug. Unbelievable. After a few polite exchanges, my mother pulled me into a room, locked the door, and started pumping me for information. Seeing I wouldn't budge, she took my hand and spoke earnestly. "Mum isn't taking Jiu's side. But think about it, you have leverage over him now. It'll be so much easier to handle him in the future. His family will always feel indebted to you. Once you're married, you'll stand tall." I was speechless for a few seconds, then laughed bitterly. Stand tall? Have you forgotten what kind of man my father was? And you so obsessed with money, so controlling, so sensitive about pride. How could I stand tall? My mother wanted to say something, but I didn't give her the chance. I continued. Besides, is this really leverage? This is a character flaw. I know you're attracted to him being an only child, steady and practical, with kind parents. But do you know how much effort I put into making those good qualities consistently visible to you? Yeah, you'll say maintaining a relationship requires effort, I accept that. But I won't accept someone trampling on my effort, whose time and energy aren't precious. If he wanted a good life, I would have given my all. But he didn't follow the rules. The more I spoke, the more agitated I became. Even though my words were attacking, tears streamed down my face. My mother clearly hadn't expected such sharpness. She stared at me wide-eyed. I love money? I love you, don't you understand? Yes, she loved me. She didn't love the 200,000 bride price, nor the 3 million. I couldn't be bothered to argue, afraid she'd launch into her hardships raising me. I rushed back to the living room. Lu Jiu's mother might have overheard some of it. She stood up to meet me. Jiu has already promised me he won't have any further contact with that woman. He was just momentarily soft-hearted and didn't maintain proper boundaries. Here, Jiu. Call her now and cut ties with that. What's her name? Liu Jiu looked pleadingly at his mother, then glanced at me for help. In the past, I was always the most perceptive, the quickest to save him from awkward situations. But now, that wasn't my duty. Seeing him hesitate, his mother urged, Hurry. Do you want Fihan to forgive you or not? What's there to cling to with someone who's dying anyway? I felt a pang. She seemed gentle on the surface, but that remark revealed a rather callous side of human nature. People are always good before conflicts arise. Once conflicts surface, they become anxious about their own interests. Understandable yet frightening. Liu Jiyu slowly took out his phone, tapped a few times, then looked up at me again. Seeing me unmoved, he had no choice but to dial. My mother commanded, Put it on speaker. Reluctantly, Liu Jiyu complied. The call connected quickly. A coy, coquettish voice came through. Are you coming to see me again today? I still want milk tea. Oh, please. Just a little. This girl, her usual tone with us wasn't like this. Did getting sick change her personality? Or did being around Liu Jiyu trigger her cute mode? Everyone present looked grim. In comparison, I remained calm, like an outsider. Yang Wan, I'm getting married soon. From now on, take care of yourself. He paused, choosing his words. I probably won't have time to visit you anymore. Why? Her voice trembled, choked with sobs. Didn't you promise to accompany me through my final days before getting married? Liu Jiu, you lied to me. What nonsense? My mother exclaimed in shock. Liu Jiu's mother rushed over to grab the phone. Liu Jiu hurriedly uttered one last sentence and hung up. Clearly guilty. I never promised you that. Everyone looked at me, waiting for me to speak. I coughed lightly and smiled. After all, she's a patient. We should still consider her feelings. Didn't you say cancer patients rely on their mindset? Liu Jiu nodded gratefully. His mother hit his shoulder reproachfully and said to me, You're just too understanding. We can't let her emotionally blackmail us either. We still have our own lives to live. His father chimed in agreement. My mother, probably sensing I had more to say, stared at me sternly. I continued. Let's leave it at that. Thank you, Uncle and Auntie, for making the trip. Even though we aren't destined to be family, I'm still grateful for your care. Thank you. Xiao Han, what do you mean by that? Liu Jiu's mother asked, a hint of reproach in her tone. Do you have other demands? Liu Jiu stood up, looking at me with displeasure. I straightened my back, forcing myself to stay calm, and enunciated each word. I have no other demands. It's almost mealtime, let me treat you to a meal. Consider it a proper farewell. As soon as I finished speaking, Liu Jiu's mother burst into tears. Seeing this, Liu Jiu was overwhelmed with guilt and tried to pull his mother away. We'll resolve our own issues. Please don't interfere. Liu Jiu's father suddenly spoke, his tone imposing. Fihan, one must learn to let go. In life, you can't be too calculating. I couldn't meet his eyes, but I refused to back down. My mother tried to smooth things over. That's true. This child is stubborn. I'll talk to her more. Hearing this, Liu Jiu's father gave me a disappointed look and left first, followed by his mother. Liu Jiu sighed, his tone resigned. I didn't cheat. I truly only pitied her. Everything I did was just to comfort her. Are there shades of green for betrayal? Is there half cheating and full cheating? Sorry, I'm not educated enough to understand such nuances. With his parents gone, I didn't need to be polite anymore. Fihan, I know you're a reasonable woman. My parents have already criticized me. Our whole family likes you. You've seen their sincerity. My mother and I have been looking at properties lately. Since you won't take the 3 million, we'll buy a large apartment in your name alone. For me? Even if I don't marry you, it'll still be mine. I feigned surprise. I'll wait a little longer. You're still angry now. Let's talk when you've cooled down. He turned and left. Only my mother and I remained at home. Furious, she smashed 2 cups and began shouting curses. I sat on the sofa, letting her words go in one ear and out the other. I'd endured similar scenes since childhood. This was nothing. After 2 days of fruitless house hunting over the weekend, I returned to my corporate drone life. Unexpectedly, a colleague introduced me to an apartment. It was close to work, reasonably priced, and miraculously, the decor matched my taste perfectly. I paid the deposit without hesitation. When I went to Lu Jiu's place after work to move my things, he wasn't home. Relieved, I packed up and was about to leave when I ran into the last person I wanted to see. What a coincidence, Jian Faihan. You never once visited me while I was sick, yet here we are. She sat in a wheelchair, wearing a brown knitted cap, her face pale but with carefully drawn eyebrows and colored contacts. Clearly, she'd come specifically to see Lu Jiu. I thought for a moment, then feigned realization. Oh, you're still alive. She bristled, trying to rise from the wheelchair, but noticing my suitcase out of the corner of her eye, she settled back and asked with feigned curiosity. What's this? He's tainted. I'm switching men, I said succinctly. Her smile widened. You're that bothered by me? TSK. How petty. I couldn't help rolling my eyes, stepped past her, and pulled my suitcase along. Haven't already dealt with you. Why would I bother? I'm just bored and want to try living differently. After all, I have plenty of time. Yang Wan followed me to the elevator, suddenly gasping for breath, moaning in distress. I looked back and immediately dropped my suitcase, pushing her into the elevator. At the entrance, I tried to hail a taxi, but it was rush hour, no empty cabs in sight. Ride-hailing apps yielded no quick responses. As her condition worsened, I had no choice but to run into the street to flag down a car. I almost got hit, but thankfully, the car stopped. The driver cursed as he got out, but upon hearing our situation, agreed to take us to the hospital. Yang Wan, weak and breathless, insisted I call Lu Jiu. I thought about it, he did need to be notified. The call connected, and I explained briefly. Okay. Don't be scared. I'll meet you at the hospital, he said. Yang Wan, leaning against me, trembled upon hearing this. Okay. Soon we were stuck on an elevated highway. In the years that followed, I would deeply regret my decision that day. Why did I save her? Why did I call Zhou Yanli to come on his motorcycle? I'd only thought a motorcycle could weave through traffic faster, getting us to the hospital sooner. That's why I called Zhou Yanli. He agreed without hesitation and arrived swiftly. I never anticipated Yang Wan's malice. Unable to live herself, she wouldn't let others live either. While the motorcycle was speeding, she bit Zhou Yanli's arm and tried to twist his grip. Finally, the motorcycle lost balance and crashed into the guardrail. Since there were only 2 helmets, he'd given them to Yang Wan and me. He had none, resulting in severe injuries. After being rushed to the hospital, he didn't survive resuscitation. Yang Wan, already frail, died on the spot. By some cruel twist of fate, or perhaps because my life was meant to be long and bitter, I was the only one who survived. After months of recovery, I woke from a coma to learn of Zhou Yanli's death, and the messages he'd left in my chat window monologues sent to an unreachable recipient. Are you there? I want to talk to you. Damn it, you blocked me. Why? Do you like the apartment? I've always remembered your preferences. Praise me. Will a clingy little thing be thrown away? Jian Faihan, you have no conscience. All these years, watching you love someone else, it hurts so much. But if I didn't watch, I'd be afraid I wouldn't know if you were wronged. Pretty pathetic, right? Laugh at me. Once you've laughed enough, hug me. You know how I added that bastard on WeChat? I have to praise my own cleverness. I saw him in your gaming history. You always played with the same person, even late at night. So I used my superb gaming skills to befriend him in-game and got his contact info. Occasionally, I'd check on how you were doing. Every holiday, I'd worry whether he'd remember. Because I know you seem easygoing on the surface, but you're extremely particular about details. You dismiss someone over a single detail. I've suffered that, so I wanted to hold an umbrella for him. No, I was afraid you'd be disappointed. I love you. Can't quit. But loving you is so hard. You have too many taboos, always losing your temper with me. I don't know why everyone says you have a good temper. Sigh. I guess I'm just your punching bag. Because I knew you wouldn't hurt me, while others would. My temper isn't good. But for someone like me, avoiding conflict is safest, most secure. I can't handle any surprises. I'm not capable of dealing with others' malice. I just want a stable, peaceful life. Joe Yanley, I just wanted a stable, peaceful life. I just wanted everyone I cared about to be safe and well. Why is it so hard? All the proud words he never said aloud. He told me piece by piece in those messages. And heaven, punishing my weakness and timidity, made sure I saw them when I was utterly powerless to change the outcome. I have to admire fate. It really knows how to play with people's hearts. Also caught in the game was Liu Jiyu. Perhaps out of guilt, or perhaps shaken by the brutality of human nature, he became even more steadfast toward me. Since my coma, he had cared for me tirelessly, never leaving my side. When I woke up, he was overcome with emotion, holding my hand and weeping uncontrollably, as if I were the best, most precious girl in the world, worthy of his near-devotional dedication. To all this, I felt both understanding and confusion. I had loved Joe Yanley passionately and bravely, yet helplessly gave up. I had loved Liu Jiyu cautiously and meticulously, yet secretly gave up. I had understood many people, many situations, always quick to persuade myself to move on, to let go. I had strived to live up to others' expectations. So why did everything still go so terribly wrong? I understand. Yet I don't understand. Liu Jiyu, I want to slap you, but I don't have the strength. Can you do it yourself? Last time, because of him, I slapped Joe Yanley. I deeply regret it. Liu Jiyu didn't hesitate. While tending to my urinary bag, he slapped himself without even looking up. Once again, I was caught between understanding and confusion. Liu Jiyu, can you die then? No. I need to take care of you. This time, he looked at me. His bloodshot eyes were filled with tenderness. Is that so? Then I'll think of another way, I said flatly. Jian Faihan, I'll wait for you to love me again. I'll spend my whole life waiting. In your dreams. I closed my eyes, not wanting to see even a sliver of light. Joe Yanley, no one in this world can ever surpass you. I will belong to you forever. The end.